"2015 has come to an end. It's sad to see it go, but I'm happy to actually see it leave because the road ahead is not looking so bad or dark or gloomy. It's actually looking pretty bright." So I will say that 2015 was an okay year for movies. Definitely superhero movies. Fantastic Four was the bomb. I mean, it was a bomb, and I think everyone saw it coming. Only a few actually wished it well, but it ended up being bad. But this is for the top 10 best movies of 2015. For me, I've seen over 60 movies, 64, 65 movies this year alone. It took me a while to get this list done, and I actually switched something from number 5, number 6, all that to honorable mention. So I have actually flipped them around a lot just to make it to my satisfaction. And like you've heard from other people, and the way that this list goes, it's basically the same thing. Grades do not apply here, just like everyone else. And it's true, grades do not apply. I could have gave a movie an A+, and it doesn't mean it's going to get the best movie out of the year. I believe 2013, I didn't make a video for 2013, it was on my old channel, but American Hustle was the best movie of the year for me. 2014, although, was Birdman with Michael Keaton. Sadly, The Revenant doesn't come out until next week, or in 2 weeks, on January 8th. So that means that probably could have been the movie of the year, and the director Alejandro would have had a second one in the second year. But it happened. So here we go. I'm gonna get started with honorable mentions. There's 4 honorable mentions, and then I'll get to my top 10 list. So without further ado, here is my top 10 best movies of 2015. Alright, the first out of the honorable mentions is going to have to be The Walk, starring Joseph Gordon-Levitt. It was awesome, man. It came out, I believe, at the end of September. It really was an underrated film. I saw it in IMAX. I think all the IMAX looked beautiful. The cinematography in there, and most of it was really CGI. So you got to think how much hard work they did, and Robert Zemeckis, how much he did for that. Joseph Gordon-Levitt, most people are afraid of this, but to me, this is life. Just his whole accent and the whole background, and when he was in France and then coming to America, and this is life, and him doing the wire work. I think all of it was brilliant, actually, and I do think it's an underrated film where no one really went to go see it as much as you'd expect. It's Joseph Gordon-Levitt. He's a fantastic actor, a great director. I mean, you would think people would go see it, but not much. And I think it looked beautiful in IMAX. So I definitely enjoyed the movie, and I think, like I said, it didn't get to make it on the top 10 list. It definitely made it on the top 20 list, but it is definitely an honorable mention because it was really fun. Next up is Sicario with Emily Blunt, Benicio del Toro, and Josh Brolin. I love this movie. I really do. I love the action in here. I love the writing, the dialogue, the pacing of it, the opening. I love everything about this movie. Again, but honorable mention because there are a few flaws with it. But I will say the main guy out of this whole thing that really stole the show. I mean, everyone did. Emily Blunt, my future wife. Also, Daisy Ridley was my future wife. I will say that Benicio del Toro stole the show, man. His character was so well written, so well acted out that that's why it made one of my favorite movies. So honorable mention there. So Sicario, if you have not seen it, I recommend because it's really accurate to how the cartel, and all that, and part of it how accurate and dirty and it just gruesome, Juarez and Mexico is, man. Because I live right by Mexico, the border. Miles away, but I live fairly close in the Texas area. Next up is Steve Jobs with Michael Fassbender. I love this movie as well. I think there were only a few cons in my review, but I will say that I gave it like a B+. The acting was perfect, and having Jeff Daniels in there even made it better, and everything about it, the directing, But I will say that there were a few flaws in there, but I really enjoyed it where I was inspired by Steve Jobs and I kind of looked him up afterwards. And I never saw the Ashton Kutcher one, but I will say that this one kind of made me feel like I could be the next Steve Jobs. And then you kind of realization, no, I can't be Steve Jobs, even though in this movie, he was kind of like a fictional movie, not really non-fictional. It was kind of, Seth Rogen. He was awesome in there as well. Seth Rogen was really good, but Steve Jobs was played as a douche in here, and he was a douche at times in real life. I heard he was not the nicest guy to work with, not the easiest guy to work with, but like, what do? You can't put a hammer to a nail. I built the circuit board, so how come 10 times in a day I read that Steve Jobs, has done everything? What do? Some people play their instruments. I play the orchestra. Just the way that Michael Fassbender just became Steve Jobs was beautiful. And my last honorable mention, guys, the fourth honorable mention is the Marvel movie. And I'm a Marvel fanboy. If you see my intro, you see my intro wall, man. Ladies and gentlemen, Ant-Man with Paul Rudd. This is my only Marvel out of this whole, list at all, even honorable mention and top 10. I love Ant-Man, dude. It was my number 5, but I ended up switching number 5 with something else. The effects in here, the CGI, Peyton Reed, Edgar Wright would have been he was a fantastic choice. When he dropped out, people were like, Peyton Reed, and I heard people boo him at Comic-Con and everything, but he ended up really making a great movie. Sure, it was a simple heist movie, those simple cliched things, but Michael Pena made one of the most funniest comedies out of the summer. The Baskin-Robin meme was born, and Paul Rudd's suit, the Ant-Man suit was so brilliant, and the Wasp and Michael Douglas and the cast itself, Bobby Cannavale, Valley, all of them, just assembled cast, Corey Stoll's Yellow Jacket, the effects, everything about it really just spread for summertime. It was a great summer movie. Number 10. Spotlight with Michael Keaton, Rachel McAdams, Liev Schreiber, Mark Ruffalo, a bunch more, man. It was such a great movie. The directing, the writing, it was just so full of truth. And I've seen a lot of people say Spotlight was, and I was like, I agree, man. I have to put it on the top 10 list because I enjoyed myself. Now, when seeing it, I wasn't like all happy, I was kind of down and everything. And it's not a movie where it makes you smile. It definitely is just a fact story. And I learned a lot from it, actually, and was amazed by the facts and the statistics. But I will say Michael Keaton's performance in here was, Birdman's performance was way better, but he was brilliant in here as well. I was like, I'm going to buy this just because Michael Keaton is such a brilliant actor. He is just brilliant. But I will say that the writing here and learning about the statistics, it's a great way to learn about the whole, because it's a serious matter. It's nothing to be just thrown to the side. It really is. And I will say that it's perfect, and Oscar nominations for sure for this movie. At least for Mark Ruffalo for a nomination, man, because his character was just his accent. He did the Brooklyn accent, and Stanley Tucci was in here. It was just an ensemble cast. It was brilliant. Number 9. Creed with Michael B. Jordan and Sylvester Stallone. Came out in November, a month ago. I really had a fun time with this movie, and I gotta say, it was against Southpaw or Creed as the boxing movie, best boxing movie of the year, and Creed obviously won. Southpaw had awesome boxing matches, but Creed just did it way better. And again, Sylvester Stallone added such dramatic weight to Creed, where it was like a balloon filling up with water, like a water balloon, and it just bursted at the end, where it was just so brilliantly done. And you got the emotion, you got the comedy, you got the drama, you got the serious, you got like I said, you got comedy, you got every sort of genre in there. Michael B. Jordan was brilliant in there. I think Rocky is an all-time American movie. And for sure, Creed it's a classic at its own pace, where in 20 years, 30 years, kids from this generation will look at Creed and be like, man, hopefully we'll see Michael B. Jordan punch it out a few more times, because I really just love the feeling and the tone of this movie. Number 8. Star Wars The Force Awakens. Now I know what you're saying. Number 8, Star Wars The Force Awakens. You've seen this movie 4 times. I have seen this movie 4 times, and it gets better and better each and every time. But I will say, I've seen people when they put it as number 1 and number 2, number 3 and all that. I just put it as number 8 because it's not the greatest movie of the year for me. It's top 10. But I will say the action in there, it was gritty. It was, them surviving. The effects were brilliantly done. J.J. Abrams he was awesome, man. I think he was a perfect choice to lead on the franchise, and then Ryan Johnson will continue after that, and Colin Trevorrow. But, it did have a New Hope sort of feeling to it, which is a good thing and a bad thing. And I'm not one of those that bitch around and be like, it's like a New Hope the whole time. Yes, it has similarities, and it was good. It was a good movie. Oscar Isaac. But they barely used Oscar Isaac in there. They didn't have much backstory for, Finn and why Finn with the storm. I'm not going to get into spoilers, but you know what I mean. There were things that really they didn't get into. They really didn't get into the backstory. Like, sure, they're saving it for episode 8 and all that and all those other things, but there really were just a few problems in there where they didn't really. Captain Phasma sucked. They really promoted her, and she was only in there for 3 scenes. So you get what I'm saying? Like, it wasn't, it could have been slightly more better. It has a good opening, has a great ending. Still, number 8. Number 7. The Martian with Matt Damon, directed by Ridley Scott. It has an all-star cast: Chiwetel Ejiofor, Kristen Wiig, Jeff Daniels, so many others, man. It was brilliant. Kate Mara, Jessica Chastain, Michael Pena. I mean, the list goes on and on. Sebastian Stan. Every actor did an awesome job. I think Matt Damon really sold the show also. Most likely an Oscar nomination for him. He was brilliant in there. I just love the whole feeling of the film, and more that I enjoyed it a little bit more than Star Wars, to be honest. What? Yeah, I did. I think it was a shock to me, man, and of course the whole, Mike Watney, and then the whole thing from Interstellar, Matt Damon's character, you're kind of thinking, what the hell? One guy in Interstellar and then another in this, it's pretty funny. But I really love The Martian, man. It was such a good film. A great film, man. I love the directing, the cinematography, the effects, and being on Mars, and how we saw him throughout the months, and how was it, many months or years on Mars? Just him surviving, and then him with a beard and everything. It felt so real. You believe that he was on Mars. Number 6. Straight Outta Compton. Honestly, before, I didn't know much about NWA, but after seeing it, I really looked into their music, and they have so much influence, man. They really influenced the whole 90s and all that of the genre and the music we have. And I will say my favorite is Gangsta. I will say that is my favorite. But Dr. Dre, Eazy-E, all them, I mean, it was a dramatic, they had their fun times, they had their sad times. Paul Giamatti in there was brilliant. Everything about this movie, the directing and just the pacing. Pacing had a few problems, but for sure Ice Cube's son playing Ice Cube was a brilliant choice. He's a good actor, and he has the looks and the Ice Cube look. Eazy-E, man, he was really, from the beginning and everything, and Dr. Dre and how he had that spot on Dr. Dre, all of them looked like the rappers. They played it so perfectly and respectively. It made me cry, it made me laugh, and it made me actually want to sing along and dance along. It did everything that I wanted and expected, and even more. So Straight Outta Compton is an awesome movie. Number 5. The Hateful Eight. I know. Why didn't I put it at 8? That'd be pretty clever. But I will say that I just saw it today, man. Ant-Man was originally in number 5, but I had to get Ant-Man out of there and put on honorable mention because Hateful Eight blew me away. The Quentin Tarantino's directing, the whole cast, they were perfectly casted and acted. The whole acting was brilliant. The whole plot itself, had a few things wrong with it, but everyone did perfect. Kurt Russell made me laugh a lot. Tim Roth and Michael Madsen together also were very funny, very clever. Jennifer Jason Leigh was brilliant. Everything about this movie, there are a few little small problems here and there, but I will say that the pacing of it was good. It was a really good pacing. The cinematography, I didn't get to see in 70mm screen, but I will say that I definitely want to own the movie on Blu-ray because the Western, and I think Django Unchained is still my favorite, and Reservoir Dogs is always going to be one of my favorite Quentin Tarantino movies of all time and movie of all time. But this movie itself, if you have not seen The Hateful Eight, I recommend seeing The Hateful Eight because it is a brilliant masterpiece of its own. Number 4. Kingsman: The Secret Service. This blew me away. It came out late February. Was it early February? I think it was early February. Man, you know how January, February movies are, they pretty much suck. But ever since the first trailer came out for Kingsman, I was interested in it. And I will say that Taron Egerton was brilliant in here, and I can't wait to see him Eddie the Eagle, even though it kind of looks really silly and kind of stupid. I'll be willing to see him in it, man. I think he was a good, new upcomer. Colin Firth, the church scene, he was just so brilliant in here. I love Colin Firth. My mom loves Colin Firth. Come on now. Samuel L. Jackson was an awesome villain. Also, Mark Hamill was in this movie. And just the action set pieces. I love how they mentioned James Bond, Jack Bauer, so many others, man. So I really love how they mentioned that and all the spies in the world. So that was really interesting. But the action pieces, and I love X-Men First Class, so of course, why not have Matthew Vaughn direct it? And Matthew Vaughn is just so brilliant at action pieces and the score, and then just putting all of it together. He is so brilliant at it. So I will say that Kingsman was one of my all-time favorite action movies of 2015, and it definitely hit me in the jaw where I even think I saw Kingsman a second time, if I'm not wrong. And Colin Firth and Michael Caine as well. It had an awesome cast, and I can't wait to see what the sequel does later on in the years. Number 3. Mad Max Fury Road was just I think it is the best action film out of the year. I know I said Kingsman, but it is one of the best action films of the year with the CGI, but this was mostly all practical effects. It is definitely one of the most out of the whole decade. Tom Hardy, some people didn't like him as Max. Yeah, I kind of see it because, that's mine, He did have barely any few dialogue, but Furiosa, Charlize Theron, everyone loved her, and I loved her. She was so brilliant. Furiosa definitely was a big shocker. You kind of think, it's a Mad Max film, but Furiosa is more in it than Max, really, in the dialogue. My name is Max. My world is fire and blood. I just love the whole dialogue to it. Come on now. George Miller, the man who directed the originals, directed this. That is crazy. This was in development for years until they got Tom Hardy and everything. I remember when it got delayed and they had to do reshoots and everything. Hard work pays off, dude. It was brilliantly done. It was brilliantly scored. Witness me, mediocre. So many memes made out of it, and the best action movie ever made. I kindly do agree with that. It is one of the best action movies. The practical effects and the stunts are brilliantly done. Tom Hardy brings life to the screen as Mad Max. You believe he is Max Rokitansky. Everything about it was beautiful. Now, the next movie I really struggled with. I wanted to put this as number 1, but, my heart and mixed emotions and where I want it to go. So this was originally number 1, but I ended up moving it to number 2. Here is my number 2. American Sniper with Bradley Cooper and Sienna Miller. I love this movie to death. And it's directed by Clint Eastwood, which makes it even 10 times better. Bradley Cooper gave his best performance in his career. And I think some people may consider this a 2014 movie. I saw it in the middle of January because it released in my theater in the middle of January. So we're counting this as the 2015 movie. American Sniper, what do you mean? That was in 2014. Well, it came out of my theaters in 2015, so in the middle of January, so I'm counting it as 2015. I will say that it was just so brilliantly acted. So many parts made me cry. The action scenes felt gritty and realistic, and Clint Eastwood is just a brilliant mastermind to direct. Now, he's made a few films that were kind of but this movie for sure really brought Clint Eastwood way up again. Again, like I said, Bradley Cooper was so freaking... the weight and the mass and the everything he gained and the muscles, seeing him now like enjoy all skinny again, it's kind of like you played Chris Kyle, and God bless Chris Kyle and the Chris Kyle family, the whole Kyle family. God bless, man. You guys are really inspiring. And I will say that I'm from Texas, so we lost a hero, man. He was brilliant. So I say, if you've never seen American Sniper, please do yourself a favor. It's not just like any other military. It truly is an amazing movie. And I will tell you, when I saw it in January, I knew, before I even saw it in the trailers, I want to go home. I'm stateside. No, that's not me. I'm willing to meet my creator and answer for every shot that I took. Before I saw any of that, and before I went in to the movies, I knew this was going to be on my top 10 list. I just knew it had to be within the top 3. And it's still, to this day, a fantastic movie. Number 1. Yes, that's right, The Gift, directed, written, and starred by Joel Edgerton. This movie stars Jason Bateman, and I believe it's Rebecca Hall. Don't quote me on that. I believe it is Rebecca Hall. It's so freaking amazing. I remember seeing it in August in theaters because the day before I saw Fantastic Four, and then the next day you see The Gift, and you really that's where everything comes back, because I love writing movies. I want to direct small things, small indie movies. I want to do that. I'm working on stuff like that. And after seeing The Gift, mind you, that it just inspired me. It really did inspire me in how Joel Edgerton could star and produce and do all that, write it. And he was so brilliantly done. It has one of the greatest plot twists ever, and the ending was perfect. It's just so dark. It is really dark, and his character, and Jason Bateman's character, and how Gordo the weirdo, and then him pushing him at that comedy thing, and it really pisses him off, and you really feel bad for Gordo, even though he's really a psychotic person. You feel bad for him, and the mixed feelings you have for these characters. It made me feel a lot, and I loved the way it was filmed, and the bars, and the 135, whatever it's called, but I loved every single second of The Gift. Now, again, a few little flaws, but I think I gave it like an A- or something, but I will say that it is the best and greatest movie of 2015 for me. It is my Birdman of 2015. Ladies and gentlemen, The Gift was awesome. If you've never seen it or never heard of it, look up the trailer. Now, I know the trailer kind of makes it look like a stereotypic type of movie, but trust me, it is way more. Give it a chance. It is beautiful. And the directing and the cinematography and the look and the way the camera moves, and it's just, Joel Edgerton did so much to it, and he's one of my favorite actors. Tom Hardy and Joel Edgerton are my top favorite actors of the modern age. So thank you guys so much for watching my top 10 best movies of 2015. I know I kind of kept you here for a while, but please forgive me for that one. Hope to see you more in 2016. Thanks again. Comment down below. Tell me your top 10 list of 2015. And tell me if you agree, disagree. And if you want to support the channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button. I really would appreciate that. I'll be seeing you all later.